is a very interesting development, the first meeting ever of its kind, and we're now learning that this was approved for publication. This happened, as you mentioned, last week in Rome through the mediation of Italy's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani. Now, this meeting between Cohen and Najla Mangoush, his Libyan counterpart, comes at a challenging time for Libya, as it's been split since the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi back in 2011, and it's currently split between two governments. The UN-recognized government in Tripoli, and Mangoush is the minister of that government, but there is a breakaway government that is challenging it. And just last week, I mean, there were deadly clashes in Tripoli with dozens of casualties. So while this is indeed a historic breakthrough in foreign relations, the potential ties between Jerusalem and Tripoli, the internal situation in Libya makes it a bit challenging to see what this would exactly mean. I'll take, for example, after the signing of the Abraham Accords in 2020, Israel vied a similar agreement with Sudan, but Sudan is in a similar situation without a properly functioning civil government. So we do need to be a bit cautious as to what this can lead to in the immediate future, but indeed we have not seen an unprecedented meeting as such. Now, in the statement by the Foreign Ministry, Eli Cohen said that the discussions with Mangoush included exploring possibilities of mutual benefits between the countries, as well as also preserving the heritage of Libyan Jewry. Cohen emphasized in the statement the importance of this unprecedented step, referring to it as a first step in the relationship between Israel and Libya.
Yeah, diplomatic language that we are accustomed to, but it's an interesting meeting. We are joined now by Karim Mezran, Director of the North Africa Initiative. Good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening to you. Thank you for having me.
What's the importance of such a move by Libya, or at least this Libyan government?
I agree 100% with your colleague who just spoke. From one point of view, it's a great news. It's a very good comment that I have for such an initiative. It's long overdue. I remember I was living in Rome in 2012. Members of the Libyan Jewish community came to us to just help in order to get contact with Libya. They wanted to reestablish connection with the Libyan government. So it's something that has been going on for quite a while. The Libyan community trying to establish bridges. And that's probably how they went to Tajani, with somebody, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, very, very sympathetic to this issue, and he brokered the meeting of the two ministers. So from that point of view, it's all positive, and it's gonna get us to something very, I think very important if it is given the chance to continue. Blue analysis, though, I have to agree again with the colleague that preceded me. This is not happening because Libya is maturing, is ripening to understanding something towards Israel. It is, in my opinion, a way for the debate by the Prime Minister, who's the boss of Najla Mangoush, since they're getting desperate because the Americans are withdrawing their support for him regarding his maintenance in power, not having it another government. So he's trying to look for allies, and he has looked for allies by this maneuver, kind of similar to what the United Arab Emirates did for the Abraham Accords. An international opening, assuming an international value, an international status, so that you could tell the West, I'm doing good things, I'm doing important things, you have to support my staying in power.
Yeah.
So I don't think that if this is the situation that we are going to see any practical development. But even symbolically, it's a very important thing.
Yes. Stand by, Karim. Back to you, Ariel, here. Israel was reportedly involved in Libya even before elections in the past, so this is not entirely new. in terms of Israel's interest there.
Indeed, I mean, if you ask Israeli leaders, they would have liked the moment Gaddafi was ousted to establish diplomatic ties with Libya, but the internal situation in Libya was not such that allowed to set the groundwork for establishing such relations. And indeed, in this meeting between Cohen and Mangush, the two, at least in the statement, said that the meeting was aimed at exploring potential cooperation and forging relations between the two countries. And so this, we could say, kind of opens the door to the possibility of down the line, perhaps establishing full diplomatic relations between the two countries. But I do think that this is significant because it's showing the UN-backed, the UN-supported government showing its willingness to form relations with Israel, and that's something that in this neighborhood is not something to be taken lightly.
Right. Mr. Mezran, I want to ask you about what's happening in the south. Meanwhile, attacks over there in Chad, what's exactly going on?
This is part of the problem we were talking about before. Libya is not one country; it's divided into at least two big pieces. General Haftar in the east has the territorial control of the whole of Cyrenaica, he claims. So the fact that there has been clashes between Chadian mercenaries that were leaving Libya and going to Chad, and the troops of the president, the brief against them in Tripoli, 80 miles within the Libyan borders, has created a problem for Haftar. A big problem, because he said, if either I have the control of the territory or I don't have it, and he's showing that he doesn't have it. So he sent his son with a few hundred of his troops down south to engage these mercenaries, and then another contingent of troops yesterday to try to show that he is in control of the territory. Let's remember that Haftar used the Chadian mercenaries to attack Tripoli in 2019. And that is something we have to always remember. He is very, very, very with his hands into the Chadian situation. And he is afraid or he may be burnt by this allegiance. So that's why he's going down south with troops to control this Chadian. And it seems to me that it sort of succeeded. The Chadian left went back, and it seems that there's more calm in the situation.
Yeah. Karim Mezran, I thank you very much for that. Another word with you, Ariel, here in the studio. In Israel, in terms of internal politics, that comes in a time when the government would like to present some sort of a Middle Eastern achievement, and it will play this out, obviously.
Indeed, they're gonna milk this for as much as they can, putting the internal situation aside, because we're talking about two countries. You can't really compare the internal situation, but there isn't stability in both countries. I think this is another step in Israel trying to extend, first of all, in its attempt to extend its circle of peace, focusing on North Africa. I mean, we saw Morocco being part of the Abraham Accords. There's also been recent reports that the government of Kais Saied in Tunisia is looking to kind of engage in talks with Israel. Again, this is another leader who is being criticized and looking for his own diplomatic wins. And so we see that there's a lot of elements in play here, but the bottom line, indeed, a breakthrough meeting between the foreign ministers of Israel and Libya, the first of its kind in both countries' history.